Today I want to talk about the new Batman movie directed by Matt Reeves. We've seen the trailer, we have information and a couple of spoilers, so I think it's time to finally talk about this upcoming movie. There's been a lot of controversy with the casting of Robert Pattinson in the role of Bruce Wayne and Batman, but just to remind you, Pattinson is one of the top tier actors on the board of the movie today. The first trailer has shown us a lot of mystery, a more detective vibe, and a violent Batman like never before in the movies. The thing that amazed me the most about the first trailer is the kind of approach they adopt. First of all, I got the impression that it would be a very Batman-focused movie, and mainly inspired by Batman Earth 1, a great comics by Geoff Johns and Gary Frank. But I think I was wrong. This movie will take a large inspiration from John's comics, but also from the Snyder Batman story. Come on, am I the only one thinking about Zero here? I think the dynamic that will be introduced between Bruce and Edward Nygma will be largely inspired by Zero Year. You know, in the first movie we're gonna see Batman intellect, we're gonna see Bruce fighting prowess, we're gonna see what makes this Batman so different from all the versions. This movie will take inspiration from a couple of comics, but if we had to keep an eye on one of them, only one of them, it should be Batman Ego. So, let's talk about Batman Ego. This story is a masterpiece. I think you can try to make a comic good like this one, but it's an impossible objective. Because I think this is one of the most ambitious story of Bruce Wayne. The story takes place on the third year of Batman activity on Gotham, with a very violent and gloomy city. And don't get me wrong, I love all the Batman tales that have inspired this film, like Year 1, but I think Year 1 is more a golden story, okay? This comics, Batman Ego, is something of truly beautiful. The narrative that the story gives to you is just unique, okay? And beyond every expectation you could have on a Batman story, in my opinion. Towing Cook has delivered to us one of the most peaceful tales for Batman. In this story, Bruce talks with Batman himself, the demon of the Bat. Batman Ego is a delicious take on the character, a psychological analysis on Batman and his world, and this makes me so happy. Cook arrived on this story, Batman Ego, after a lot of work on Batman animated series, you know, that are the masterpiece of the 90s. It's phenomenal animated series. The question you have to pose yourself before reading the story is, what if Bruce Wayne and Batman could have a dialogue? I want to be honest with you, this idea is ingenious. Come on, have you ever think what would each author expect of the other, and how would they compromise? It's a good question, right? Now, for the last part of this video, I want to talk about the next thing for this universe of movie. It's clear that Warner Bros. Wants sequel, and I have a couple of ideas of what we can see on the second movie. A little disclaimer, this part may have some spoilers, even if minimal, so let's begin. According to various reports, the involvement of the Joker at the end of the film, played by Barry Keoghan, I don't know, seems to be confirmed. Many at this point might think that the Joker is the main star of the sequel, that Barry Keoghan will be the main villain. But I don't think so. We know that in this story, Bruce's parents are gonna have a criminal backup story or something like that. And for this, I can think of only one masterpiece story that Matt Reeves can use from his second movie. Yeah, I'm talking about The Court of All. The Court of All is one of my favorite Batman tales ever. By Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. Back in 2011 they made this phenomenal story, this phenomenal battle between a man and a group of other men. You know, the first Batman movie is gonna create Gotham, is going to lay the groundwork for how truly corrupt Gotham is, how Gotham can be violent, and what mystery this city have with its story. If you think what the Joker did in the Nolan trilogy was terrible, you haven't seen anything yet. Anything. The Code of All, prey on the innocent, they attack people of Gotham, they want to break the Batman. And in the comics, when Batman escaped the maze of the court, it's one of the best moments in the comics history. This deserves an adaptation. Imagine when Bruce will escape from the dungeon and he comes back to hunt them, to hunt the Court of All. It could be one of the greatest cinematic experience of all time. Think about it. Also, I hope Robin could be there. I would prefer Nightwing, but I think this could be very impossible. The second movie will break Batman. The second movie will break him and then rebuild him. I think this Batman should be something of truly epic. Something of unnaturally beautiful. If the first movie will come and present to us the legend of the Batman, I want the second to give us the Batman, Bruce Wayne, as an icon.